Hello guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Aysh. Please subscribe. Today's video is a little bit of an insight into why I'm gluten-free and any kind of tips for people that have just started the gluten-free life. Also, the topic of celiac disease, that is a reason why I'm gluten-free, and any kind of tips on what to expect if you are diagnosed with celiac disease and where to go from, really. I've also got some suggestions on food and places and stuff like that. I thought it would be quite helpful to film a video like this. So if you want to hear me talk about having celiac disease and what it's like being gluten-free, then keep on watching. I've been gluten-free for 2 years now, and the reason why I'm gluten-free is because I have celiac disease. So anybody with celiac disease cannot consume gluten. If I was to consume gluten, which I did for most of my life up until 2 years ago, it will attack my small intestine and it will wear down the lining of my small intestine. So basically, to put it simply, it damages my small intestine if I continue to eat gluten. And because of that, it can result in me not being able to absorb any nutritious things like goodness from food and stuff like that. So if I was to eat something healthy, it might not benefit me as much as it will benefit someone that doesn't have celiac disease, because if I was to continue to eat gluten, I cannot absorb those nutrients. The reason why I decided to go to the doctors just to see if we can investigate if I have celiac or not, I used to bloat quite a lot. My belly used to feel quite bloated, and to be honest, I do have quite a carb heavy diet. I tend to just eat what I want, really. I do eat healthy and wholesome foods, but I do love pasta. Basically, that's what it is. I love pasta. Pasta is life. I can eat pasta every single day. But generally, pasta bloats everybody. So you don't need to think, oh my god, I'm bloated from pasta, that means I can't have gluten. The best thing to do if you're not sure is to see a doctor. You can't really self-diagnose. You can if you're getting certain symptoms, but the best thing to do is go to a doctor, say, I'm having these symptoms. That is what I did. So I went to the doctors. So the first thing they did was send me for a blood test. And they said to me, if the results come back with signs of celiac in your blood test, I then need to go for an endoscopy, which isn't the most pleasant thing, but I'll explain it anyway. An endoscopy is a procedure where they put a camera, which is attached to a wire, down your throat and into your small intestine to have a look and see the state of your small intestine, see what it's like, and also take biopsies to then send off and test to see if you have celiac disease. So I had to go for an endoscopy, and it wasn't the most pleasant thing. So there's two options. You can have only throat numbing spray, or you can go under anaesthetic, so I think local anaesthetic, so you are awake, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're awake but just a little bit more calm and not kind of fully aware, so it's easier, because you can't go without anything, because of course you're just going to want to throw up. So I had to fast for I think like 12 hours, so the night before, I think from like 6 p.m. I didn't eat anything. But yeah, I went for the procedure. I decided to just have throat numbing spray and nothing else, because the thought of anaesthetic just scared me a little bit. I didn't like the idea of not fully being like aware and in control, and I just prefer to have the numbing spray. It's just whatever you prefer, it doesn't matter. So I had that, which felt a little bit weird because it felt like my throat was swollen, even though it wasn't, but it numbed. It did numb, but I did still feel it, so it was weird. It wasn't the most pleasant experience, but it was over in literally like 5 minutes. So that's what you need to think. If you are going to go for it, my advice is not to worry, because it's over very quickly. So I waited a few weeks for my results, and they came back, and yep, I had celiac disease. So my next stage was to have a follow-up appointment with that doctor and also my doctor from my GP, just to discuss the next steps and some advice. So the doctor said to me, okay, yep, you need to cut out gluten from your diet for kind of like forever, pretty much. He said, you know, it's not like it's kind of curable, because it's curable just through diet. There's not really like an injection or like a pill you can take to stop it. So it's simply just going gluten-free. A lot of people might wonder what gluten is. So gluten is a mixture of cereal proteins. To put it simply, the main component is wheat. What contains wheat? Quite a few things. Flour, and so many foods contain flour. So cereal, cakes, bread, pasta, sausages, nuggets, burger buns, anything deep fried and battered, so fish and chips, saveloy, all of those things. Is kind of endless. So the doctor said, yep, needs to be gluten-free, and he said I can have an appointment with a nutritionist to just give me some advice, but I didn't really go through with that. I just decided I'm gonna do my own research. And I know that there are so many gluten-free and free-from options out there nowadays. We are quite lucky. Or I can simply just cut out things like carbs and just have a bit more of like a lean diet, so meat and veg and stuff like that, which I know I can still eat. Rice I can eat. Most supermarkets do have a free from aisle, which is really good. I just shop in the gluten-free section now. So the main things for me that I had to change was, of course, pasta, which was my favourite. I think my favourite places to get gluten-free pasta would be Tesco and Sainsbury's. Also bread. So bread is another thing. Gluten-free generally isn't as nice as ordinary things. So a gluten-free bread isn't as nice as the normal bread because of course it's lacking something, and gluten is what binds things together, so that's why it's used in a lot of foods like sausage meat and stuff like that, because it helps bind things. I just tried a few different brands of gluten-free, and my favourite brand up to now would be Dr. Shah. Dr. Shah's gluten-free. They have such a huge range. They sell this in Tesco, Sainsbury's, most supermarkets and Co-op. Most supermarkets do sell Dr. Shah if you're in the UK, and this is my favourite. It's the wholesome white loaf, and it is so nice because it is just like normal bread, and it's almost like a brioche bread, and it's got the moisture which a lot of gluten-free bread doesn't have. It is so good. It is a little bit pricey, and it's such a small loaf of bread. It's £2.50, which is quite a lot. Some gluten-free loaves of bread are even £3. That's another thing. It is a bit pricey being gluten-free. Being gluten-free has also kind of not put me off, but I'm not eating as many cakes and stuff like that. And I know I can, but it's just not as enjoyable. So if I'm going to like a coffee shop with friends or something like that, some places might have the options, but a lot of them don't. And there are a lot of people that don't know what gluten-free is. So I'll happily just sit there with a coffee or a tea and just maybe a chocolate or some nuts or something like that instead. It's been 2 years now and I'm definitely getting used to it. It's just my lifestyle. In the beginning it was quite difficult because I had to eliminate quite a few things out of my diet and replace it with gluten-free. That was a little bit hard, but you do get there. It's just kind of switching it up a little bit and educating yourself on what you can and can't eat. And it's pretty simple. There's so much out there. There's so much information out there that you can use to research. Now that I've hit the 2-year mark of being gluten-free, do I feel better? A lot of people ask me that. I do feel better. I don't have that uncomfortable stomach feeling that I used to get. But that was usually after eating pasta, because I think that's so like strong and high in like wheat and starch and stuff like that, so it did make me feel a bit uncomfortable. I still eat excessive amounts of pasta, just gluten-free, but it's not the same, and I'm just used to it now. So there are quite a lot of things I can still eat. Eggs, chicken, rice, so it would have to be just, it could be basmati, it could be brown rice, but I can't have things like couscous and stuff like that because that is bulgur wheat. And I learnt the hard way because I had that once. Well, I think I forgot it was wheat and I panicked. I was like, oh my god, that was wheat. And then I felt awful afterwards, but I learnt the hard way, it's fine. Another thing I find difficult is like fast food places. It's harder, like of course burgers and anything that's like deep fried or battered. Fried chicken I can't eat anymore, and all those things which I really miss. But to be honest, they are quite bad for you anyway. I'm not saying I have a healthier lifestyle now. I still eat junk and stuff. I can't just go to KFC or McDonald's and, you know, have whatever I want. But what I do now is if I go to McDonald's, I can still eat from McDonald's. I can have their fries. The Big Mac, I just ask for no bun. It looks a little bit sad because it's just a patty without the bun and just lettuce and cheese, but I still have it and I still enjoy it. That's one thing I need McDonald's to do, bring out a gluten-free bun. If there's anyone that's worried about having celiac or having symptoms of celiac, then just book an appointment with your doctor. All you need is a blood test and you can go from there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was me just giving a little bit of an insight into the gluten-free lifestyle and I think it will be quite helpful for some people that have got celiac disease or are in the process of changing from a gluten diet and a gluten-free diet. Because in the beginning I was like, oh my god, I can't eat anything, but there's so many options and it's fine. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!